Welcome back to the Sec Bootcamp Vault. Episode 12, Objective 3.3, Data Protection. Everything else we secure, networks, servers, accounts, exists to protect one thing, the data. This episode covers what kinds there are, the 3 states data lives in, the rules about where it can travel, and the toolbox for protecting it. Let us guard the jewels. Objective 3.3 says, compare and contrast concepts and strategies to protect data. 3 chunks. First, know your data, types and classification levels. Second, know its 3 states, at rest, in transit, and in use, because each state gets different protection. Third, know the toolbox, most of which you met in the crypto episode, plus one new watchdog called DLP. Let us go, know what you hold. Regulated data is anything the law watches. PII, personal identifying information, PHI, personal health information, payment card data. Laws dictate exactly how these get handled and what happens when they leak. Trade secrets and intellectual property are the company's edge. Formulas, source code, designs. Their entire value comes from staying secret. And legal and financial records, contracts and filings, sensitive and usually kept under retention rules. The exam mostly wants you to recognize PII and PHI on site. The sensitivity ladder. Public data is free to share. Private or internal stays inside the company, like org charts. Sensitive would cause harm if leaked, like salaries. Confidential would cause serious harm, like trade secrets. And critical or restricted data is existential, master keys and merger plans. The point of labels is simple. The higher the label, the fewer the people, the stronger the controls, and the more logging. Classification comes first because you cannot protect data correctly until you know how much it matters. The 3 states. Data at rest sits on a drive, and encryption protects it, full disk, database, or file level. Data in transit moves across the wire, and TLS or a VPN tunnel protects it. Data in use is live in memory, being processed right now, the hardest state to protect, guarded by things like secure enclaves and tight access control. The exam question is always a matching game. A stolen laptop is data at rest, so the answer is full disk encryption. Sniffed Wi-Fi is in transit, so TLS or VPN. Scraped from RAM is in use. Checkpoint 1. A laptop is stolen from a car, but the thief cannot read any of the data. Which state was protected and how? A. In transit with TLSB at rest with full disk encryption. C. In use with a secure enclave. D. In transit with a VPN. Where was the data when the theft happened? Pause now. The answer is B. Data at rest, protected by full disk encryption. The laptop was off, the data was sitting on the drive, and the whole drive was scrambled. Stolen or lost hardware is always a data at rest story, and full disk encryption is always the hero. That is one of the most reliable questions on the entire exam. Geography matters more than people expect. Data sovereignty means data stored in a country falls under that country's laws, no matter who owns it. Park European customer data on a server in another region, and you may have just broken the rules. So storage regions become a compliance decision, and some data simply must stay in country. Geofencing is the technical fence, allowing or blocking access based on where the user physically is. If the exam mentions which country a server is in, it is a sovereignty question. The toolbox, mostly familiar faces. Encryption scrambles what must stay secret. Hashing fingerprints what must stay intact. Masking shows only part of a value. Tokenization swaps it for a vaulted stand-in. Obfuscation makes data hard to interpret, and segmentation keeps the crown jewels on their own network. And the quiet, default permission restrictions. Least privilege applied directly to data. Most data protection questions are just episode 4, wearing a data costume. Match the verb in the story to the tool. The one new tool, DLP, Data Loss Prevention, it is the guard at every exit. It watches data leaving through email, uploads, or USB drives, recognizes sensitive patterns like card numbers, and blocks them from walking out. Look at the console. An outbound email with 4,000 card numbers in the attachment. Blocked, manager notified. The exam tell is direction. If the story is about data leaving, an attachment, a copy to USB, and upload, the answer is DLP. Inbound attacks are never DLP. Checkpoint 2. An employee tries to email a spreadsheet of customer card numbers to a personal account, and the message is automatically blocked. What did that? A WAF, B DLPC, and IPSD geofencing. Which direction was the data moving? Pause now. The answer is B DLP. Sensitive data was heading out the door, and the exit guard caught the pattern. The WAF and the IPS face inbound attacks. DLP faces outbound leaks. Direction decides, and outbound sensitive data is DLP every time. The trap list. Trap 1. The state determines the tool. Stolen hardware means at rest means disk encryption. Sniffed network means in transit means TLS or VPN. Memory scraping means in use. Trap 2. Sovereignty follows the server. Data obeys the laws of the country it is stored in, so server location is a legal decision. Trap 3. DLP is outbound only. It blocks data going out, never attacks coming in. Lock it in. Know your data. PII payment data, trade secrets. Classify it first, because the label sets the protection. 3 states. At rest gets disk encryption. In transit gets TLS or a tunnel. In use is the hardest. Data obeys the laws of the country it sits in. The toolbox is episode 4 plus permissions, matched by verb. And DLP guards the exits, outbound only. Objective 3.3, done. Next time, the end of Domain 3. Resilience and recovery. Hot sites, cold sites, backups, RTO, and RPO, generators, and how companies survive fires, floods, and ransomware. The When Everything Breaks episode. See you inside the vault.